Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me for the 6 steps to a better business after a crisis. I'm Marcia Erickson. I appreciate everyone joining me today. I love that I've already gotten a chat. A few ground rules. So everybody is muted and nobody's on video today. So as much as I love seeing all of your faces, and typically these workshops are very interactive, it's Friday and everyone is webinared out, and I've seen too many living rooms and dining rooms and kitchens, and I'm sure you all have too. So we're gonna do this, and there's a lot to go over. So I want you to have the flexibility to be taking notes and doing what you need to do to absorb the information. But I do want interaction, and so I do want you to use the chat box as much as possible, because I'm gonna be reading through that as we go. It's a great opportunity to share what you're learning, share what you're doing in your business, ask questions, so we can still interact without having to look at each other. The webinar is recorded today, so I will send this out afterwards. I've got some great checklists to use. I'm going to send that out afterwards as well. I'll ask for some feedback. And at the end of this, we're going to go over a lot of things. At the end of this, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so I want to make sure that you get the information, that you're able to apply it in your business, and just test out whether coaching is right for you. So at the end, I'm going to offer up a complimentary strategy session. I do that for everyone who takes the time to watch my webinars or come to my workshops. So be thinking about what days work best for you. Throw that in the chat box, and just tell me morning or afternoon, and I'll reach out and we'll get that scheduled. So what I want to talk about today is we're going to talk about the 6 steps to a better business. What I want you to understand is this is not to minimize any of the things that are going on in the world, but I think today in particular, we're a little bit fried about the planning process to open back up. This is about what do we do. These steps don't change when you're growing a business, whether you're in a crisis, whether you're after a crisis, whether you're 6 months after a crisis. So I want you to understand how we help businesses grow. And then we're going to talk about how does that apply to our current situation. But this is really about being better when we get out of this crisis. And I want you to all say that to yourselves right now. Your business, our businesses are going to be better when we get beyond this. Think about the last 6-8 weeks, what you've learned, what you've done, what you've been able to redo in your business. That's just going to make us better down the road when we move out of this. So that's just kind of a framework of what we're doing today. We're going to take a little break and look forward instead of just kind of lamenting all the things that are weighing on us and making us weary right now. All right, who am I and what do I do? So I am a business coach. I encourage you to think differently. I help you with some business education if there's parts of your business that you aren't aware of, that you don't know, that you're not comfortable asking, those things that you always wish you knew that you didn't. I'm going to help you find those answers. Doesn't mean I have all of them, but I'm certainly going to help you find them. I'm going to help you plan. Put a plan together. All of these things and strategies that we talk about today need a plan if you're going to get them implemented. And so I help you think through that. And then I also will coach you. I'll hold you accountable, just like a major football, basketball team, the swim team. They all have coaches who hold them accountable, encourage them, remind them what the scorecard looks like, so that you know that you're being successful. So how do I do that? I do that by applying creativity. I help you brainstorm and think through things that you need to be doing, what you've always wanted to do in your business. I bring proven strategies and management tools, which many of which we're going to talk about today. And then I combine that with some discipline, accountability, and some fun. So today's discussion, we're going to talk about mindset and learning. So mindset is hugely important to the success of you and your business, particularly right now. So I think we've all seen our mindsets kind of ebb and flow over the past few weeks. So we're going to talk about mindset, and you'll have some aha moments from that, hopefully. We're going to talk about learning. So a lot of what we do, as I said, is we educate, we teach. So we're going to talk about things that will help and assist with your learning. And then we're going to get back to the basics. So we're going to kind of clear the fog for a little bit, just for the next hour, talk about the 6 steps that you need to do to grow your business. And then within that context, I will be addressing what are some pivots that you probably need to be making in your business now in each of those areas. So we have a really exciting group today. I love the turnout that we have. We have businesses in a variety of different phases going through this pandemic. So I know we've got businesses on here that are actually growing, that took on new services and helped fill new needs that they weren't doing before. So we've got some businesses that are actually in growth mode. We've got some, I know we've got quite a few in the tourist industry who are actually closed. They can't be doing anything. And then we've got some that are in survival mode. They're making pivots. They're trying new things with their business. They've either cut down hours, they've cut down traffic into their brick and mortar business, so they've had to get really creative. So you're all on here, you're all represented. In fact, if you want to throw in the chat box who you are and what stage you're at, that would be really, really helpful. I tried to talk to a lot of you before we jumped on the call today. So we're going to try to address all of those, and these steps are going to apply to each one of you. So as we moved through this pandemic, this economic and public health crisis that was thrown upon us, 3 things happened. There were 3 different ways that you could react. The very first one is some just threw up their hands and ran away. Whenever we're met with conflict, we can, we've got this fight or flight way we can react. The other way people react that I'm going to add to that is some people just froze. They didn't know what to do and really didn't know the first steps to take to get moving. And so that's another reaction, but hopefully they didn't stay there very long. And obviously the best thing to be doing is fighting. And so I've seen a ton of really positive business owners really fighting. So my job as a coach is to get rid of the flight and the freezing and to help you fight through this. So we've got David Hume from LED Lighting. We've got Deb Davis from Crawford, Cindy Brunn from Advertising and Tourism. Just a really eclectic group today. So feel free to shout out to each other and comment as we go along here. That's what makes this really fun. Let's talk a little bit about learning. Each of us have a left side of our brain and a right side of our brain, and they do different things. So our left brain is going to be words, math, logic, analytical kinds of things that helps us with our finances and our numbers and strategic planning. Whereas our right is going to be our creative side, art, music, feelings, big picture. And what happens is, we've got Blackhawk College on here. Awesome. What happens when we mix those 2 things is we get confused. And a lot of times as we're learning, we're mixing right brain, left brain types of things. We're looking at data and then we're saying, how does that apply to me? Or how can I make that work in my business? And it can get overwhelming and get confusing. But what I would tell you about being confused is that's where the growth and the learning happens. So the best learning we can have, sometimes there's kids who learn better when they're learning math and listening to music. It's igniting both sides of your brain. And so some of the things I may tell you may confuse you a little bit. That's okay. That's actually a really positive thing. This might be the most important concept that you take away from today. You're going to get a lot, but I hope you really take away this one. All of us have the power to choose how we react to a situation and the decisions that we make. So that's the first important thing to know, is that you are all empowered to take control of situations. Now, we can do that in a variety of different ways. This is extremely important in the situations that we're in right now. So we've got 2 ways that we can react to those. We can fall below that point of power. and start to blame certain things. So we can, there lots of blame going on right now about the situation we're in. We can make excuses. Oh, it's a pandemic. Oh, we're in quarantine. My kids are famous for, oh, it's a quarantine, mom. We don't have to do that. And then there's denial. There's, we can, put a pillow over our head, stay in bed, and not try to be proactive and face the situation at hand. All of us are going to fall below the point of power at some point in time. The point is we can't live there. The point is to really push yourself to be above the point of power. Take ownership, take accountability, and take responsibility. So when faced with this situation, what can I control right now? A lot of us have lost control over a lot of things. And as business owners, that's a really tough pill to swallow. So I encourage business owners who get overwhelmed and frustrated to say, okay, what are the one or two things that I can control right now? What can I take ownership of? Whether it's my team, whether it's my marketing, whether it's what new business can I offer? How can I help our frontline workers in our healthcare institution? How can I help our nonprofits in the organization or in the community? How can I offer something new and different that my customers and clients need? So this has been really powerful for me. It took me about 7 times of hearing it, thinking that it was really cheesy, until if you're around enough people, if you're in my groups, any of my coaching programs, you start to use this language and you start to catch yourself when you fall below the point of power and start to move yourself above. So feel free to give me some responses on that in the chat box. Tell me where you're at. Are you above? Are you below? Are you learning to pick yourself up and move yourself into the top of that point of power? The other thing about learning and just how we show up in the world is really, we're going to fail at a lot of things. A lot of us feel like we're failing at a lot of different things because we're put in new and different situations that we've absolutely never been in before. But really and truly, the only failure right now is to not participate. Just showing up and trying new things and being proactive is the best thing you can be doing right now. Awesome. I've got above the point. Got a few. David's above the point. He's been on this journey for a while, so he's learning to catch himself and turn it around. Super powerful. This is another powerful concept. Those of you, maybe this was you as a teenager, maybe this is you as an adult. I have teenagers in my house, so they know a lot. So I really don't need to talk sometimes. And what I'm here to tell you is when you're faced with, again, new and different situations and learning, and you catch yourself saying, I know, when you're in a conversation, or maybe you're talking to an employee when they say, I know, or another business owner and they say, I know, it simply means, I don't want to hear any more about what you're saying. And what that does is just cuts off the learning process. And so what I'm challenging you to do, we all have to kind of filter information and knowledge. I'm going to tell you things today, and you're going to say, yeah, I know that already, Marcia. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is to challenge yourself and instead say, isn't that interesting? Or how good are you at that? Clearly, I grabbed another slide from another coach. What I want you to say is, isn't that interesting? And hear that person out, absorb the information, take it in, because I almost guarantee you that you will learn something, and it will just increase the amount of knowledge that you can take in. So let's talk about the other most important thing about learning. And hopefully you will leave with this today as well. And I hope you're doing this in your businesses, is we've got to have some fun. That's important for motivation, for empowerment, encouragement, productivity, and it also helps our learning. So if you've ever played a game, you're going to learn. That's why we do games in schools with kids, right? Is those, when you're doing something fun and learning at the same time, you're going to remember it and absorb it and apply it so much quicker, faster, and better than if you weren't having fun. So what can you expect from today and anytime you're working with me is a blinding flash of the obvious, brilliant flash of the obvious, or an aha moment. So you're going to hear, again, certain things that you may know already, you will likely hear a couple different concepts and you're going to put them together and you're going to go, oh my gosh, why didn't I ever think of that before? Or you may say, something's going to get triggered in you and you're going to say, oh, well, I've always wanted to do that. Why haven't I done it? Or, oh, I meant to do that. And the point of today is to really pay attention to those, write them down, communicate them. If we were in a group, you'd be saying them out loud. So as you have aha moments throughout this presentation, throw those in the chat box. Maybe it's one that someone else didn't have and they can learn from. And the more that you communicate those, you're going to remember them better. So any BFOs that you've already had today, throw them in the chat box and share them with the rest of the group. Okay, so that we've talked about some mindset tools, we've talked about learning. Now we're going to get into the actual 6 steps of building a business. And this is the definition of what how Action Coach defines a business. And it's, we're going to tie this back to the 6 steps. So it's not just words on a screen. These all are very intentional words. So a business is a commercial, profitable enterprise. So it's commercial, meaning we're trading value. It's profitable. So we know that we are making money. We've got a bottom line. We're reinvesting in our business, ourselves, our community. We're not, we're investing so that we get a return on that from a profitability standpoint. And it's an enterprise. So now we're talking about growing. We're creating something that's going to live in the universe and grow. And then we want it to work. So we want it to be efficient, and we're going to put systems in place. We want it to work really well. We're going to have a team that works really, really well and cohesive together. All of those things we're putting in place so that this business works without us. So imagine, we're going to talk a little bit about visioning. So imagine where you want to be when this business is done. You may want to sell it. So if you want to sell it when you're done, if you're investing all this time, energy, and money into creating something, you want to be able to sell it, it needs to be able to run without you. Maybe you want it running without you so that you can do other things that you enjoy and love in your life. Maybe you want to be giving back to your community. Maybe you want to go do some mission work. Maybe you just want to do all the work now so that you can take 2 months of vacation with your family and have the business run without you. Maybe you've got grandkids that you want to be spending time with and not having to be working in the business every day. So I told you that I was not going to dwell on necessarily the crisis and all those little things that we need to be doing right now in our businesses. I've done all of those webinars if you've followed me over the last few weeks. But I do want to put this in context for you. So this is a webinar that I gave last week with the Chamber, which shows kind of what the path looks like through any economic crisis, particularly this pandemic. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. I want you to see the stages. Each business is going to be at a different place, potentially on this path. But what I want to focus on is the last one. So we are moving into, so we've been in lockdown. Hopefully you've been spending time retooling your business, maybe making some pivots, really thinking about what you want this business to do. How can you change things over the last few weeks, and moving into the new world. So it's not like we're all of a sudden, May 15th or June 1st going to open up and life's going to be back the way it was. So how are you going to run your business in this new space? Then we're really kind of in the warm up right now. So some people moved from retooling to warming up today very quickly. So they thought they were looking at a May 15th date. All of a sudden, some things in Iowa opened up today. Well, they had to move really quickly between retooling and warming up, and now they're going to be in the sprint phase. Others, that's going to take a little bit longer. What we're talking about is the compete and grow phase. So once we're up and out of this, you're not in survival mode anymore. When you're talking about growing, we're going to be in that long-term compete and grow phase. So how do we do that? This is the 6 steps to massive results. And again, if you have questions, throw them in the chat box. If I'm going too fast, too slow, give me some feedback as we go here. If you've got questions for others. I'm taking a 2-hour workshop that we usually do and putting it in an hour because it's just too overwhelming for folks to be on that long on a Friday. So these are the 6 steps to massive results. These are the phases that you're going to take your business through. These are the steps that we need to have in place. Most businesses are going to be at several places on this. You're not just going to be at one unless maybe you're a complete startup. You might simply start at Mastery. But I imagine when you grew your business, if you didn't know all of these things at the time, you excelled in a certain area of your business and you probably didn't in another. So maybe you didn't get every step of Mastery in place. Maybe you need to work on your marketing. So marketing, hugely important right now, and it's changing. So one thing I will say about the phases on that slide before, your marketing is going to change in each one of those phases. Your message is going to change. What you're telling your customers and your clients is going to change. Maybe your long-term message changes. Maybe you change some things in your business and customers and clients need to know, oh, what's new and different? I didn't know you never want someone to say, oh, I didn't know you offered that. One important key to marketing is making sure that people know all the services that you provide. So let's jump through each one of these. Mastery is the foundation of everything you do. It's about mastering the basics of your business, putting in some solid foundation that you're going to build upon. So even if you don't have this in place now, never too late to go back and put that in place. In that mastery level, you're going to be implementing some what we call key performance indicators, some measurements, both financial and marketing, so that you can keep score and know whether you're being successful in implementing your strategies or not. We're going to look at ways to increase profit for little or no investment, and we're going to look at some systems and technology to keep everything running smoothly. The niche, again, or that marketing level, is all about marketing, really focusing on what is it that makes you unique to your competitors, and are there things within your business you can guarantee? And we're going to look at some 5 different factors that you're going to look at to increase your marketing and make sure that that investment makes sense. Leverage is that's your process improvement and putting systems in place within your business so that it runs really smoothly. Team, obviously, is about your staff and your employees, and leveraging the people in education that are working for you so that you can start to step out and not necessarily be there. And then synergy is when you're off and running, you can start to put a general manager in place so that you don't have to be there every day. And results is when you can go on that 2-month vacation. You can go on that mission trip. You don't have to be in the office every day. You can check in a few hours here and there because it's running without you, and you're earning some passive income from that. So let's break those down. These are the other 2 systems and processes that we use to coach businesses. So I talked within marketing, we're going to talk about these 5 ways to grow your business. And we're going to put strategies in place for each one of those in order to really multiply the growth in your business, as opposed to just looking at one of them, which a lot of businesses do. And then leverage, the 4 ways that you see on the right are the 4 ways that we leverage time, team, and money. So we're going to do that through people, through your team. We're going to spend some time. Now is a great time, if your business is running slower, to put systems in place so that everyone knows what they're doing and you're not recreating it every time. We're going to look at delivery and distribution. How can you deliver a product more efficiently? And then testing and measuring. So taking the time to measure what you're doing so that you know whether it's successful or not. So again, here's our mastery level. We're going to look at destination, money, time, and delivery. These are the 4 things that you want to have a really good handle on in order to build your business on top of that. And if one of these is missing, then it's going to be harder to put all of those other steps in place on top of it. So what's destination mastery? Destination has to do with your vision and your mission. When is your business going to be done? And done can, again, I've went over this a couple times, done can be different things to different people. This could be selling it. It could be just stepping back. It could be retiring. It's hard for a lot of people right now in the environment we're in to be thinking about this. But I will tell you, as we start to come out of this, even though it's going to look different when we come out, your destination for your business doesn't have to change. This is a detour. If you're thinking about going on a trip, you may hit construction or a detour, or may have a little accident. Maybe you have a flat tire. This is a flat tire. This is another way to look at this as a season of life. We're going to move into spring as quickly as we can. So you still have to really look forward in your business and what you want it to look like and feel like. Money is all about knowing your numbers. So these are 3 key reports that you need to be looking at every month in your business. You need to have know your balance sheet, know what you have, what attributes you have, assets you have in your business. Profit and loss. So needing to know what your margin is. So for every dollar I bring in, how much am I keeping? What does my cost structure look like? What does my revenue look like? Basically, it's revenue, expenses, and what you're left with. And then how are you going to invest that money that's left over each month? And then cash flow is extremely important right now. And I would say if you have, some businesses are truly running on a monthly basis, but most businesses we're encouraging right now to be doing this weekly or bi-weekly. Simply knowing when am I expecting cash to be coming into my business and what expenses are going out. That's going to help you know how to manage some of those things. Maybe you're renegotiating some rent. I had a client this week, brilliant. She said, I'm not going to see a gap in my cash flow for 2 months because I'm still getting paid for work I did 2 months ago. But as things slow down, the impact's going to be felt down the road. So she and her landlord said, hey, we're going to suspend some of your rent payments. She said, great. Can I pay this month, next month? And then can you give me a break on months 3 and 4? So she knew her cash flow and when that cash was going to come in and what her expenses were. So that's the beauty of that. It's going to reduce a lot of anxiety for you. The other thing I would say is going into this PPP situation, if you applied for any government programs, which I hope you did and encourage you to do, it was just a great indicator that we need to know what our numbers look like, because a lot of people in very quick order had to be pulling reports and reporting what their payroll was and what some of their expenses are. So it just, the more you have at hand, the easier those discussions are going to have, and they're going to help you manage your business better. The other thing that you want to know is what your break-even point is. So how many new customers, clients, how many things do I need to sell in order to start making a profit? This is important for a variety of reasons, but mostly for motivation. So if you got a sales staff and you know this month I need X amount to break even and anything over that is profit, or my goal is to make this amount of profit this month, then I got to have this many customers, or I have to make this many sales or sell this many items. That can be really, really motivating. And then we're going to set up a dashboard so that you know what you're looking at. So a simpler term is when you're in a nonprofit. So if you've seen or giving blood sometimes, if you have a goal, often you see the temperature gauge, right? So if you're doing a capital campaign, a lot of times they'll say, oh, we've raised X amount of the goal that we had set. Same thing in your business. You can be using that with your team and your employees as well. Again, any questions, let me know. I'm going pretty quickly because I want to get all this information to you in the hour, but I also want to give you an opportunity to interact and chat with each other. The other thing we want to master is your time. And so I included this this kind of tool, because most people that leave my workshops, this is one of the most impactful for them. So I want to introduce this concept to you. Time management is really about self-management. So we all have the same amount of hours in the day. Really important how we use them and how we apply them and how our team uses our time. So this is the ideal. So I'm going to show you the ideal target for how you're spending your time, but I'm going to give you some explanation. So if anyone knows the habits of highly successful people, you've heard the terms urgent and important. So urgent activities are things that actually have to be done in a timely manner. And important are the ones that actually have to be done to move your business or your life forward. So they are important. They're not busy work. They're not distractions. And urgent means there's actually a time element to it. So quite often, and I would say right now, this is super hard because overnight, a lot of us had to change our schedules and how we're spending our time. And so we also have a lot more distractions. So many people move their work from home, or if you're in the office, you're probably, or if you're in a healthcare institution, you're in a space where you're moving really, really quickly. Regardless, you've got distractions wherever you're at, and you've got new distractions. You've got to learn to manage them. So ideally, 10% of your time is on distractions. We have to do them. They're just a fact of life, and sometimes we need them for our own mental health. Sometimes you got to jump on TikTok or Snapchat or Facebook, whatever it is. Pinterest is mine. But you really only want 10% spent on those non-urgent, non-important distractions. So then we've got this urgent and not important. So urgent means there is a time element to it, but they're not really important. And we call those delusions because sometimes we delude ourselves into believing they're important because someone comes to us and says they're important. So they might be important to them, or maybe there's something you're really good at or that you enjoy doing, but really aren't moving the bar to get you closer to success. So when someone comes in and says, do you have a minute? I need this done really, really quickly. And you feel the need to respond, and because you want to be reactive, maybe it's a customer or client saying, I need this right now. You want to be responsive. So sometimes we have to put discipline in place and say, is that really important, even if it is urgent? Then we have those urgent and important things. This is called demand. These are real. These are things that are time sensitive, and they are really, really important. Sometimes this is firefighting, which really takes up a lot of our day, and it's going to take up a lot of your day, but let's not make it take up more than 60%. These are, again, firefighting, someone's coming in and saying, this is urgent, this is really important. And a lot of times it really, really is. So this is real. But if you're, what we encourage our clients and expect our clients to do is really focus on dedicating 20% of their time to things that are not urgent and not important. So those are strategic planning. Those are marketing. Those are updating your KPIs, keeping your CRM up to date. Those are the things, that 20% of time of being a business owner, whatever your role, your leadership role is in your business, or your if you're working with your team, if you're a manager, 20% of your time leading will help keep that demand to 60%. So that's the sweet spot, is to, if you're on a 40-hour week, pick out 4 or 5 hours a week that you're dedicating to do those planning activities, working on your business, not in your business. That 60% is working in the business and doing the work. 20% of your time should be spent on working on it. So then the last piece of mastery is delivery. So delivering consistently. So these are just some examples. Very timely, Von Maur's opening up today. These are organizations who are known for delivering a product consistently every time. Yes, Amazon had some challenges when they had a huge influx, but by and large, your expectation of what Amazon's going to deliver has not changed that much. McDonald's, yes, they had to cut back their menu a little bit, but you know each time you go there what you're going to get. So think about your business. Are you delivering the same service every time to every customer in a consistent way? Because that's how you're going to build your market share, keep clients coming to you, customers coming to you, and gaining new ones. Okay, so that's the mastery level. Next, we're going to talk about niche or marketing. Again, we're going to talk about your USP and your guarantee. So niche, what's important about this is now we've got a commercial, profitable, because we know what our finances are and we're managing our costs, we're increasing our revenue. Now we've got an enterprise. So now we've got people coming to us because they see value in what we're offering and they're giving us money. And we're trading value for value. So what's important about this, when you get this step really, really good, is that people are coming to you for value, not based on the price that you're charging. So they're not price shopping with you. Some of the organizations that we just looked at, so Von Maur is a great example. People are going to come there for the experience, for the consistency, for the quality of what they're doing. They're not necessarily going to come there for price, because sometimes they are, they can be a little bit pricier, but they're trading value for that cost. And that's what you want in your business. What can you do to add value so that clients are coming to you, customers are coming to you, and not price shopping? So how do you do that? Most importantly, what makes you unique and competitive in the marketplace? So what is your unique selling proposition? And there's a lot to this. This is about looking at your competitors to see what they're doing, what makes you different. This is about talking to your customers and clients. So if you are in, again, this is another opportunity, if you are in a space where your business is slower, take the time to be talking to your customers and your clients, your existing ones. Reach out, even if they're not at a place to be doing business right now with you. You still need that relationship and you want that relationship. So reach out, ask 4 questions. How are they? Sincerely ask how they're doing. What's new and different in their market, in their neighborhood? How are they being impacted? And ask, how are you doing? What do they need from you? That's going to help you really get clear on what your unique selling proposition is. If people are coming to you now, they're coming to you for a reason. You need to really fully understand why that is. And then when you figure out what's important to them, put a guarantee in place. Anything that you can guarantee takes the risk out of buying from you and just further solidifies them coming to you. So an example, we have a guarantee if you're coaching with me, if you're coaching one-on-one and we've set goals and you're doing your part and I'm doing my part, and we've done a really good job of understanding what we think the return on that investment is going to be. Coaching should pay for itself within the first 17 weeks. We should find enough opportunity in your business, if we're working together, to break even on that investment. And so if we don't, then I coach you for free until we get you to that place where we're profitable. So that takes the risk out of buying for us. That's our guarantee. So think about what you can do in your business and guarantee. So some examples are, right now people want you to be safe if they're coming into your home, let's say, or the hotel industry, the tourist industry. They want to know that they're safe. They want to know that you're taking this very seriously, that you're protecting them, that you're protecting your team. Those are things that can set you apart and make you unique. If you, again, if they're coming into your home, they want to know those things. When pandemic aside, sometimes when people come into your home, if it's a plumber or pest control or someone who's servicing your home, you want to know that they're going to be clean, that they're going to leave your house but as well, when they leave as when they came, they're not tracking in dirt, that they're not using foul language, that they're being polite, all those kinds of things. Those are just some examples of things that can set you apart, that are important to your customers and clients that you might not think about or know unless you're talking to them. The other important piece to marketing is testing and measuring. So tracking where are your leads coming from, knowing what your investment is, what is your return on that investment. We encourage anytime you're trying something new in marketing, put it in place, pilot it, see if it's effective, measure it. If it is, and you're getting more return than you are what you're investing, then keep doing it and do it, multiply it. If it's not working, cut back, move to something else and try something else that's working. Okay. If you're getting any BFOs from this, I'm not getting a lot of interaction right now. So throw in the chat box what you're learning, what BFOs, what you want to put in place in your business or try when you leave this call today. So now we're going to talk numbers. So we talked about marketing and testing and measuring. So often when we think about our businesses, we look at the number of customers we have, the revenue that we have, and the profit, right? Those are the three things that are often most important. But to really, and you can impact any one of those and improve the bottom line of your business and make you more successful. However, there's a lot more you can be doing to really multiply the growth in your business. So this is kind of the growth engine within your business. So looking at the number of leads or potential customers that you're talking to, and then how many of those are actually converting to customers. How many times are those customers buying from you throughout the year, and how much are they spending? And then what's your profit margin? How much of that sale are you keeping? Putting strategies in place in each one of these is where you're actually going to see the most benefit, as opposed to just doing one. Now, there is an important order to some of these things. Most of us, a lot of business owners automatically want to go for the leads. I just need more customers. I just need more leads. Just need to be converting more. And really, if you're really truly looking at your margin and growing your business, that's actually the last thing you should be doing, because those are the most expensive. There's actually opportunity before that that has much less investment tied to it. So the very first thing, while not as fun, is to actually control your profit margin. Are there expenses that you can cut? Are you spending money in ways that you don't even know, that you're not paying attention to? Is money going out the door that doesn't really need to be? Often when we start working with clients, we find that. And then once you feel really good about that, then move into you capitalizing on your existing customers. So you've already spent the time, energy, and money to build that relationship and keep them satisfied. They're buying from you. So capitalize on that and see if there's an opportunity for you to be offering new and different services that increase the number of transactions that they're doing with you, the number of times that they're buying from you throughout the year, and the amount of money that they're spending each time. Can you upsell a couple things? Can you offer an add-on service? Can you put them on, so number of transactions, a great way to increase that is just to create a membership plan where they're buying from you throughout the year instead of just one time. So lots of strategies that you can put in place to increase those. And I'm going to send that out with this presentation when we leave. Some are going to apply to your business and some absolutely aren't. Pick the ones that you're doing that are working. Pick the ones that you want to try and put them in place slowly. Check to see if they're working, and if so, then you move forward. So then the last thing you want to do when you're really providing good service to your customers, you've got very loyal customers, you know which ones are really good and which ones that maybe you need to not spend as much investment on, then you want to look at getting new customers and putting strategies in place for that. So whether it's marketing, sales scripts will increase your conversion rate. Whether are you telemarketing, are you social media, email, do you need to do a newsletter? Do you need to be involved in some more groups? Increase your marketing. Now is a great time to increase some of that marketing and try some new things because so many people are cutting back on marketing. You have an opportunity to increase market share, grab some market share that maybe you didn't have, and prices are dropping. So even I was just talking to someone this morning about news outlets. So marketing on news channels are less expensive. So maybe it's time to try TV or some direct mail marketing. So people's behaviors have changed. They're at home more. They're picking up the phone. They're looking at direct mail. Things that weren't working before are now working. So put some of those strategies in place and see what's going to work for you. So let's just put some numbers to these really, really fast. Say you have 4,000 leads in your business and you're converting 25% of those to new customers. So maybe you've got new customers, new patients, and 1,000 a month. So then, or 1,000 a year, let's say. And then they're buying from you 2 times a year and they spend about $100. These are just for simple math. You're going to have a revenue of about 200,000. And say you're keeping your margin that on every dollar, you're keeping 25 cents of that. So you've got $50,000 in profit going into a new year. And one way to look at coming out of this pandemic is this is a new year. You've had some opportunity to clean house, like systems wise, technology wise. You've maybe had some opportunity to train your staff to do new and different things. It gets given you a break to really think about how you want your business to run going forward. So let's say we put some strategies in place and you increase your number of leads by 10%. So we're going to increase each one of these 10% and see what the bottom line impact is. So maybe you put some scripts in place to increase your conversion rate. Maybe you've been out really marketing and people are starting to look at you as an expert in your field. And when they're looking for whatever it is you have to offer, they're coming to you. So you've increased your customer base now more than 10%, right? Our leads, our conversion rate. So now let's say we've gotten creative and come up with some opportunities for your customers and clients to buy from you more often throughout the year. So now increase that 10%. Maybe they're buying from you more than twice, maybe 2.5 times per out the year. And maybe you've had it a higher dollar item or some higher end services for those loyal customers. And now they're spending $110 with you. So now we've taken revenue just by adding 10% to each one of those. We've actually increased our revenue 46%. You may notice that that's not 10% because we multiplied. Those are compounding interest. And we increased our profit margin. Now we're at $80,000. By just doing those little tweaks and putting new strategies in place, we've made a 61% increase in our revenue. So that's another system that we use to help coach our clients to grow their business. And so next we're going to talk about leverage. Again, leverage is about investing time and effort now and getting paid for it over and over and over again. So whether that's putting a system in place in your business, training your team on something new, a simple example of leverage worked in this hit me between the eyes this week in my business. Sitting down and using a tool to manage your social media. You still need to do organic content, but if you've got something that you need to get out, sitting down and spending an hour or two getting that scheduled and ready to go frees up your time later on, that you're not constantly going, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to put this message out. Oh, I need to communicate to this. Putting a really efficient communication plan in place can help you leverage your time. Job descriptions, employee manuals, putting standard work in place in your business, taking the time, which is very challenging when you're putting out fires and you're moving really quickly and you're in this chaos. It's hard to stop yourself and say, no, I need to dedicate this hour, this 2 hours to working with my team and putting this process in place. It will pay dividends down the road. So how do we leverage? Again, people in education, our systems, and maybe you need a new CRM system. Maybe you need to enhance or upgrade your CRM system. So in this new space, a lot of people had to move to e-commerce really, really quickly. Healthcare had to move to telehealth really, really quickly. That's a leverage, right? They've leveraged their systems that were already in place maybe things they'd already been working on, but now they have to pull the trigger, get them systematized so that you can leverage time better. Going virtual actually leveraged people's times in certain businesses even better. There's pros and cons to it, but for a lot of folks, they realized, I don't need all the space I need. I don't need to be traveling all the time. I can actually run my business more efficiently and effectively, leverage my time better by working virtually. So how do you systematize a business? Again, the goal of this is to take the chaos out of what we're doing and creating a well-oiled machine. We'll start with your vision statement and your mission statement. In order to systematize, you've got to know where you're going. What's the ultimate goal in your business? Because then all of the pieces and parts are going to fall in line behind that. What's your culture statement? So this has to do with also building a foundation for your team. What are the values that are important to you and your team as you move forward? It's a great exercise to include your team in. Pick your highest performer from a value standpoint, the one that everyone looks up to and wants to be like. Have them write down what makes that person so special. What do they do that's different than everyone else and that everyone should aspire to, and start to craft your value or your culture statements around that. And then you've got to put goals in place. So how do we know where we're going? We got to have some very specific SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable. They've got to be realistic and they've got to be time bound. When are we going to get those in place? Your goals in your business right now, I'm working with a lot of clients on, we had a 90-day plan, we had goals for the year, but guess what? They've had to shift a little bit. So what's a reasonable goal that you still aspire to that you have to adjust because volume was lower? So always be looking at that. But in order to get your team on board, they've got to know what those are. Have an org chart. So many businesses and clients that I work with, there's a lot of people wearing a lot of hats. And so you're going to be most efficient if you're really clear on who's doing what. So what do those roles look like? And an exercise to do that is to put an org chart together. Maybe you don't have, even if you don't have a really, really large organization that needs a very complex org chart, just a small one, just sitting down and saying who's doing what and who's going to get really good at certain things and who's not will make you more efficient. And then writing job descriptions for team members so they know what's expected of what they do every day. And then KPIs are the dashboard, key performance indicators are the dashboard. They're going to help them and you know whether you're successful. So is it sales? Is it leads? Is it profit margin? Is it customer retention? Maybe it's the number of calls I make a day. Maybe it's making sure that open sign is out every day when we open up, or that open process is always done 100% of the time. Everyone should have KPIs for their role, even if they're really simple and very small, because they're going to motivate them to meet the expectations and move the organization forward. And then how-to systems. This is really where systemization happens. Pick a couple processes in your business. Brad says, yes, open signs, very, very important. If you need an open sign, go see where Ben Sign works, or me. How-to systems. Making sure, this is also called standard work if you are a lean person. So pick a process in your business, pick one. It's always easiest to get started because it can be overwhelming to think of all of them. Think about every process that you do in your business. Pick one where you can say, this is where it starts and this is where it stops. Maybe it's just answering the phone. Maybe it's how do I get invoices out? How do I run my reports every month out of QuickBooks? Where do I categorize everything? What's my marketing plan? So if I have something new that I'm rolling out, what are the steps in that marketing plan? Pick one, write it down. It can be a checklist. It can be just steps and pictures, videos. There's lots of ways to do how-to manuals. And then your management system just talks about the leaders in your organization. How do you know whether they're successful? How do you make decisions within your organization and who makes those decisions? All right. If you have questions as I'm going along here, throw them out. Be sure, oh, Brad had a, it's a BFO. Having a strategy for how I want to utilize any downtime. Absolutely. Put systems in place, Brad. Have your staff, if they're still working, if you've got folks on unemployment, this is a little bit tricky. But if you've got staff who want things to do, and the other thing I will say about leadership is give them something to be doing, give them something to be looking forward to, get them productive and moving forward. The easiest thing to do, have them write down what they do every day and start to systematize your business. Take the time now. Okay, so we've got a commercial profitable enterprise that works. Now it's working without you. Now, again, we spent a little bit of time on team. That's why we were putting that leverage in place so that we can have a really, really productive team. If you don't have those things in place, and you're adding your team, that team might not be successful, right? So you can see how those two, if you had all of these things laid out and a team member comes in, they know what your values are, they know what's expected of them, they know what to expect from you, they know what's important and what the why is in your business, they're going to be super successful. If they don't have all those things, you might not keep that team member for very long because they're going to get frustrated. It's also going to help you to know who you're looking for in a new team member. So what's your job as the business owner in your team? These are the 4 things that make your business run. Oftentimes an owner will try to do all of them and then fail miserably, maybe just fail a little, or maybe just not be as successful as they can be. The true job of an owner is to really take care of your team. That went really quickly. Your job as the owner, when you have all these things in place, is to manage your team. Take care of your team and support them, empower them and let them run. They're going to take care of your customers. That's their job, is to run the business, deliver really good customer service, deliver quality. And then when your customers are satisfied, they're going to keep coming back to you. They're going to support your business. Then your business, in the end, is going to help support you. So again, owner takes care of the team takes care of the customers take care of the business, and it all works seamlessly, as opposed to trying to do all those things. So what are the keys to a winning team? We're getting at the hour, so I'm going to move quickly. Start putting in the chat box. Again, this is a lot to go over. I want to know more about your businesses, and the way that I can help right now is to sit down with you and do a complimentary strategy session. So there's no obligation, but I want to know more about your business and give you some strategies to help and let you decide whether this makes sense for you or not. So give me dates and whether morning or afternoon works better, and we'll sit down and do that. What are the keys to a winning team? You being a strong leader, first and foremost. That has proved itself over and over and over again over the last 6 to 8 weeks. Organizations who are the most successful have a strong leader, and that is not always easy. I do not say that to scare you, but a lot of people have had to step up in ways that they never dreamt they would have before, and they've had to have the guts to just go for it and try new and different things, see what's going to work and what isn't going to work. So the most important part right now is just being visible, taking a leadership role and doing what you can do. You've got to lead your team. They need to hear from you a lot right now, especially if you're operating virtually. You've got to have a common goal. So you still have to keep that goal in front of them. It may have changed. It may be getting out of bed, doing 4 hours of really good work, and then homeschooling your kids. I mean, the goals that you have for your team and your organization have probably shifted, but be sure and communicate them. Be sure and communicate them so that they know where they're going. They've got to know what the rules of the game are now, and they needed to know them before. They need to know what they are now, because those have probably changed as well. Then everyone should have an action plan that ties back to that goal. So if your goal is survival right now, great. What is your team's action plan for getting you to that goal? What are the 3 things they can do to help that? If your goal is to grow, what is their role in that? What are they, what's expected of them? What are the steps they have to do to get to the goal? And then support them in risk taking and get them involved in everything. And based on that, you're going to start to see if you put all the time and effort into each of these steps, you're going to have some incredible results. Thanks for the shout out, Brad. Unsolicited. I've spent one-on-one time with Marsha and she gets it. She can really help get focused on what needs to be done and has tools to attack it. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. So now we've got, hopefully you can, putting all those things in place, you can put someone into the business and train them to start taking over that leadership role so that you can start to cut back. That's kind of the ultimate goal. I will tell you, if your goal is to sell a business, if you don't have this person in place, you're leaving your investment on the table. You're not going to get the full asking price of your business if you're still in place and still working in the business and still running it, and it can't run without you. People aren't going to buy you. They want to buy your business and know that they can run it really effectively, efficiently, and successfully, whether you're there or not. Doesn't mean you have to leave, but they want to know that it has systems in place and can run without you and create an asset for them, just like it did for you. Okay, so where do we go from here? Again, let me know dates and times that work for you to meet, and we'll sit down and do a strategy session. I want you to jot down, throw in the chat box, one thing that you're going to take action on based on this webinar today. Hopefully I've given you some things to think about that you can be doing to grow your business. Shout out to everybody, tell us what they are. And if you have to run, write them down for yourself. Pick 5 things that you learn from this that you want to put in place in your business. Picture your business 90 days from now. Look back and say, am I in a better place? What did I do during this pandemic to make myself and my business better? We're all going to have our own stories to tell. What's your story going to be when you're done with this? Anything that changes in your business will be because of you. So again, I'll be asking for feedback. Share that with me. I always like to make these webinars better. I offer this webinar pretty routinely throughout the month, or workshop when we get to be in person. Got some exciting plans for that. So give me feedback so that can get better. I want to reward your time today by meeting with you. And now's the time to take some action. I appreciate your time. I hope you got some value out of that. And I will be in touch with everyone soon. Have a great weekend, everyone.